Is Spiral the best Saw movie? I'm not quite ready to say yes, but I'm definitely not ready to say no either. Hello, in case you don't know, my name is Carson, and I am a big fan of the Saw franchise. One of the biggest things I did during quarantine was I binge watched all the Saw films pretty immediately into quarantine, and I fell in love with them. Not necessarily for their complex morals or all the bloody traps, though those are fun, but for the absolutely genuinely stupid plot that runs throughout them, and just this incredible sense of drawing this very basic story out into all these films, into basically 8 films, really 7 if you talk about the actual main kind of story of it. It was fascinating. There's not another series like it that just gets so campy fun so quickly. And I just found, the fan service to work. I found it all to work. I had a blast with them. So when they announced, and obviously I knew at the time, but really then being able to think about that fact that we were finally going to get Saw 9, but not just Saw 9, but something called Spiral from the Book of Saw, I was very confused on what to think. I mean, this seemed to be unlike anything in the Saw franchise before. It moved on from this story, it moved on from Jigsaw, following this detective played by Chris Rock of all people. It seemed to be a very layered and maybe even poignant film, or at least attempting to be. I just genuinely didn't know what to do, but my anticipation built through the entire year, and finally, after seeing Spiral, I'm happy to report that it's pretty good, but maybe not quite as good as it wants to be. I think the biggest thing of note to point out about Spiral that makes it unique in the Saw franchise is simply how dramatic it is at times. This is a film that will show you a trap, but then cut away from it to give you this really intense and dramatic detective drama and mystery of a detective trying to find this killer as it's killing all of his friends, but also not really his friends. Zeke is the heart and soul of the story, but within Zeke lies the film's more, interesting and complex morals surrounding police. He belongs to a police department that is quite corrupt. Ever since he took out a dirty cop who killed an innocent man basically right in front of him, this entire department has turned their back on him. When he's needing backup, for example, they don't come, putting his life literally at risk. He doesn't trust any of these people. None of these people trust him. It's a very bad dynamic to have, I think, in a police system. And when paired up with this recent Black Lives Matter protests and Black Lives Matter movement and this reanalyzation of what the role of police really is in society, clearly it becomes apparent that Spiral is the most politically active Saw film that we've possibly ever had, and the film clearly wants this identity, at least maybe more dramatic than political, to be at the center of what people take away from this film. The other side of it, though, is that this is still a Saw movie. I'm not going to spoil anything in this review, but very early on in the film, it basically colds open with a trap, and we've seen this before where it cold opens with a trap. There is a blood splatter in this opening trap that is horrific. It is so badly CGI'd, and immediately though, here's the thing about the Saw franchise. It can have this horrible blood effect, but it almost feels charming, and literally in the theater, I didn't know what the identity of this film was going to be. I also avoided most of the trailers and such. It felt like I was home in a weird way. It weirdly felt, hey, we're back. It's Saw. It's a real booyah moment for cinema, I guess you could say, and it just felt weirdly comforting. And the film, for everything it tries to do differently, still keeps this Saw identity at the core of its premise. It still keeps some really crappy dialogue, some really funny moments. It still keeps this core, the twists and turns that Saw has been defined by. Ultimately, Spiral does try to be an elevated Saw film, but it still tries to be a Saw film. And I think as a fan of the Saw franchise, that is possibly the best move it makes. But it also doesn't necessarily work fully in balancing these two identities. Yes, it doesn't necessarily hurt itself completely. I think the drama still works rather well, the comedy, and it's weird to say comedy, but kind of the charming Saw factor of the film definitely still works. But sometimes these identities can work a little bit against each other a little bit too much. And I think specifically you feel that in Chris Rock's performance. You know, it was very weird to me that Chris Rock wanted this role. He proposed this film, he proposed his involvement to prove that he was a dramatic actor. So when his first scene was clearly just Chris Rock being comedic, it kind of caught me off guard. There definitely are periods throughout this film where Chris Rock is trying to be more, he's trying to be more dramatic, he's trying to be more serious. But ultimately, I don't think he fully works. He clearly, I think, is one of the worst parts of the film. Maybe the only other horrible thing in the film that I truly hated was the new voice they got for the voiceovers for the tapes. You know, the iconic Saw voice. Obviously, they're going to change it. They're not going to use the iconic John Kramer Saw voice. But it's just horrible. It is so laughably bad. But other than that, in Chris Rock's performance, I think this movie is rather good. Like, it definitely still is a shitty Saw film, but I had a ton of fun with it. The traps are interesting and unique. The story itself, the twists and turns, it is one of those weird things where this is where the two identities work really well together. The actual twist towards the end of this film, the actual big reveal, who this killer is, and you do get the reveal, I'm not going to spoil it for you. I saw it from a mile away, and I don't say that to be like, oh, I'm such a genius. I know a lot of people online are complaining about the same thing. It was very obvious who that was going to be. However, the drama and the actual story that the film builds, you could say, that makes it okay in a weird way, because the film doesn't end with the reveal. There's like 5 to 10 minutes still, and you genuinely don't know what's going to happen because they've done such a good job building up the drama behind the scene. And I know I'm being a little bit vague here because I really don't want to give anything away. Don't spoil Saw, don't be an asshole, right? But you genuinely kind of do get pulled to the front of your seat and you don't know what is going to happen. And it feels very rare in films in general, but even the Saw franchise, that truly is the case where you don't know what's going to happen next, specifically in the plot. Maybe going into every film, you have that question of what could they possibly do next? How is Jigsaw going to be in this one? But I really appreciated that about the film, and I thought it worked overall. You know, Spiral's a film that you can point out a bunch of technical faults. You can point out the bad Saw editing, but that's not what Saw is about. Saw is not trying to be, in my written review for Clapper, which I'm actually going to talk about in a little bit. I do have a full written review for the film coming out. I mentioned that the writing isn't trying to be, Academy Award nominated. It's not trying to be great. The editing isn't trying to be great. This is ultimately trying to still be a Saw film, and as a fan of the Saw franchise, that worked quite well. So is Spiral the best Saw movie? Probably not. I mean, this first Saw is iconic, and it's really hard to judge a film that's trying to be something substantial against the later Saw films, especially considering they just went so camp, and they went so just tongue-in-cheek going into the fan service, where it's clearly not trying to be something incredible. But still, I think even if this isn't necessarily a masterpiece, this might not be the best Saw film, the fact that there probably will be more additions into the series, and we've already heard that they're developing another film, they're developing a TV show based on what happens in Spiral. I think this is a team that truly cares. This is a team that has a vision. This is a team I trust. And I think that they, with more additions and just kind of cleaning up these little elements as they go, I think they have potential to really turn this franchise into something special, and it already is something special, but I think they have the perfect team here to really perfect what a Saw film can be, specifically when it comes to making it more dramatic, making it more serious, more poignant, making them once again kind of good movies, kind of like what the first film attempted to be, and then from there it's just kind of been a steady decline into it's gonna be a good movie. I still enjoyed this one quite a bit, and I had a great time. I'm gonna go back and watch it again. I saw it opening night. I was pumped. I walked out of the theater just really jazzed and really pumped, and just hell yeah, it's Saw. It's May 14th. It must be Saw. I'm not gonna give any grade to this or anything on here. I just wanted to come in here and kind of share my thoughts. And I guess I actually kind of want to talk about quickly. So the review's over. If you don't care about this channel, bye. Thanks for watching. I obviously stopped doing YouTube. If you're here and you watched my old YouTube videos, good on you, because they were horrible. And this probably still is trash. I quit YouTube, obviously, what was it now? 2 or 3 years ago. To focus on written reviews, because I wasn't happy with how my thoughts were presented on YouTube. from a lot of different sides. I'm going to kind of talk about it back then, but I don't even think the video's up. I don't know what videos are up. From a technical perspective, they weren't where I wanted them to be, but also just like in my ability to sit down and talk about a film, it was just, I don't think I was there to where like I wanted to do it. And I thought written reviews were the way to go. And I love doing written reviews. And to be clear, nothing is changing. It's kind of weird to be like, I don't have a plan. I think is really what I'm breaking this down to. To be completely transparent, an hour ago, I didn't plan on making this video. But then I was just thinking about the videos and I was like, maybe I just want to do one for Spiral, and just see how it goes. Because I've always been, changing stuff up to see how I can best express myself. And when I left to do written reviews, specifically on butteredpopcornmovies.com, which is still going, we're still doing reviews on there. I was doing YouTube for 4-5 years. I don't really remember how long. And I was just not into YouTube that much. So I did written reviews, loved written reviews, but this thing happened during doing written reviews is that I made a lot of friends, and I started doing other projects. I started doing podcasts. I do 2 weekly podcasts. I host Clappercast, and I guess I technically host, but I'm more of a guest on the Uncut Gems podcast. I contribute written reviews not just to Buttered Popcorn, my personal site, but also Clapper. I joined the Clapper team. I'm the deputy editor-in-chief in Clapper. It wouldn't be YouTube without technical difficulties. My phone ran out of storage, but now there's a little bit more storage. So I joined Clapper. I'm the deputy editor-in-chief in there. It's an honor. I'm a film critic for Filmotomy. A lot of really great people, like genuine friends that genuinely kind of changed how I view criticism and helped me grow so much as a critic, but also just like beyond just being a critic and like professionally, like I made a bunch of friends. It's awesome. So what is this? And that's kind of like the conundrum I have returning to YouTube is it's like, I like the idea of if I want to record a video, I can just record a video. I think especially now, editing used to take hours. I don't think it's going to take hours anymore. We'll see with this, right? But I have a weekly podcast where I talk about new releases. I do written reviews. Like, what is the purpose of YouTube? I think I like the idea of if I don't want to do a written review, and I think there's just a balance to be found specifically between written reviews and videos. And I don't know if this is something I'm going to continue. I'm posting this at kind of a whim because I wanted to. I enjoy doing it, but I just think that there's a balance to be found here. And I tried different things. I tried video essays. Those took so long to edit, and I'm not really happy with how they came out. Those are up on my channel. I'm proud of what I said in them, but I don't think the execution was that good. So I don't know. I'm recording this now. I'm doing this. I don't know if this is going to continue. I don't know if I'm going to have any more video reviews ever. I am simply doing this just at a whim. Like I said, though, I do have a full review for Spiral coming out on Clapper, www.clapperltd.co.uk. A link will be in the description below once the review is published. I think it's coming out this weekend. It's like 1,200 words, and I go way more in depth than this video review. But yeah, so I just wanted to come in here, say hi. I'm doing okay. Again, if you somehow stuck with me through those older videos, man, good to see you. But yeah, I'm here having a good time. Wanted to talk about Saw. Maybe that's just I was so excited for Saw, and I have Clappercast. We're recording a Spiral bit on the podcast, but we're recording it on Tuesday. So I was like, oh, I want to talk about Saw before that. So it's weird because like I know promotion wise, it's not like, oh, don't expect anything. That's not great marketing, but like, I don't know. I'm here. I'm talking about Saw. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you so much for watching, though. If you do want to be updated in case I do more videos, you can subscribe. Just follow me on Twitter at @pp_movie reviews. I am doing a lot. I posted new written review on Buttered Popcorn today. I have a bunch of reviews coming out on Clapper over the next few weeks. Filmotomy has some cool stuff coming. I don't know if it's publicly announced, but there's a cool stuff coming. And follow Uncut Gems podcast. It's so weird because like I exist in this realm of Clapper kind of now. I'm actually wearing a Clapper merch right now. But like this is a separate bubble, and that's very weird to me to be in a separate bubble than what I've been doing for the past like 3 years. Uncut Gems every Friday. And both those podcasts I do are through Clapper, technically. Uncut Gems reviews it's a roundhouse discussion. It's a lot of fun. It's like just me and my friends. And we talk about some older film that's been lost to history. So like this week we talked about Miami Vice. Next week we're talking about The Fountain. We just recorded that episode today and it was very fun. So check that out. And then Clappercast is me and like two very good friends. Most of the time there's other guests that pop in. They're all my friends, to be clear. But everyone I work with is my friend, really, because I think they're all just great, genuinely great people. But we review new releases, like 3 to 5 new releases, comes out every single Wednesday. So check those out if you want. The best place to find all my work is at BP_movie reviews for on Twitter. I guess I have buttered popcorn in my username, so I might as well make the most of it. And that's enough of me just rambling. Yeah, I have no plans. Again, literally an hour ago, I didn't plan to post this, but here I am. Maybe I'll just that's a great concept. I'm just going to do reviews for every single Saw once it comes out. So I'll see you when the next Saw product comes out. I don't know. Bye.